For decades, the world believed it understood the relationship between Princess Diana and Princess Anne. Most books, documentaries, and headlines painted them as complete opposites, two women who rarely connected and had little in common. But according to a story that has recently resurfaced, a single handwritten letter could challenge that long-standing narrative. The story begins on a quiet Thursday morning at Althorpe House, the Spencer family's historic estate. Charles Spencer is said to have entered the estate's library and opened a secure archival box that had been stored away for years. Inside was a carefully preserved letter dated August 10, 1997, just 3 weeks before Princess Diana's tragic death. The document reportedly carried Diana's handwriting on Kensington Palace stationery. Before making its existence public, Charles Spencer allegedly arranged for handwriting specialists to examine the letter. After comparing it with other authenticated samples, they reportedly concluded that it matched Diana's writing. If true, the contents of the letter tell a very different story from the one the public has heard for years. Rather than describing Princess Anne as distant or unfriendly, Diana allegedly wrote to her with warmth and trust. She addressed Anne by her first name instead of using formal royal titles, suggesting a relationship built on respect rather than protocol. At the heart of the letter was Diana's growing concern for her sons, William and Harry. According to the reported account, she feared that palace officials were becoming too involved in shaping their lives, and worried that the institution placed duty above their emotional well-being. Instead of reaching out to celebrities, close friends, or members of her own social circle, Diana reportedly turned to Princess Anne. She believed Anne was one of the few people within the royal family who had the strength to challenge palace traditions, if it meant protecting the young princes. That revelation alone stood in sharp contrast to the image the public had accepted for decades. But the way the letter was delivered was just as unusual as what it contained. Rather than sending it through official palace channels, Diana reportedly chose a far more discreet route. The account claims she instructed one of her most trusted staff members to hand-deliver the letter to Gatcombe Park, Princess Anne's private residence, ensuring it would avoid palace screening procedures. If that account is accurate, Diana clearly wanted the message to reach Anne, and only Anne. As the story spread, Charles Spencer's legal team reportedly informed Clarence House before releasing the letter publicly. Palace lawyers are said to have examined whether they had any legal authority to stop its publication. However, because the letter was allegedly found among the Spencer family's private archives and addressed to a private individual, reports claim there was no legal basis to prevent its release. That was only the beginning. According to the reported contents, Diana claimed she had learned about internal administrative plans that deeply worried her. She believed changes were being made to her security arrangements and feared they could eventually affect her relationship with William and Harry. Whether those fears reflected reality or simply her own concerns remains a matter of debate, but the letter reportedly shows just how anxious she had become during the final weeks of her life. Before we continue, if you're enjoying stories like this, take a second to like this video, follow the channel, and subscribe. It really helps us bring you more fascinating royal stories and historical discussions. Now, let's get back to the story. The letter reportedly describes palace officials as focusing more on preserving the institution than understanding the emotional needs of two growing boys. According to the account, Diana believed Anne understood that balance better than anyone else in the family. She allegedly asked Anne to become a source of stability for William and Harry if circumstances ever prevented Diana from being there herself. That emotional appeal is one of the reasons many people found the letter so powerful. Even more intriguing, reports claim Diana carefully revised several sections before sending it. Instead of writing an emotional outburst, she appeared determined to leave behind a clear and thoughtful record of her concerns. Then came perhaps the most surprising claim of all. The letter reportedly mentioned a separate collection containing hundreds of Diana's personal letters and diary entries stored outside the royal archives. According to the story, she instructed trusted individuals to release those documents publicly if access to her sons was ever completely restricted. If such an archive exists, it has never been publicly confirmed. The final lines of the letter are said to have been written shortly before Diana left for her Mediterranean holiday. She reportedly admitted feeling increasingly anxious and worried that time was running out to secure the future she wanted for her children. Only weeks later, tragedy struck in Paris. And that heartbreaking timing gives every word in the letter an even deeper emotional weight. According to the story, what happened next is just as remarkable as the letter itself. Instead of making its contents public, Princess Anne reportedly locked the letter away inside a secure safe at Gatcombe Park. For nearly 3 decades, she never mentioned it in interviews, documentaries, or public appearances. While countless books were written about Princess Diana's life, Anne remained completely silent. That silence would later become one of the biggest talking points surrounding the letter. Supporters of this account believe Anne stayed quiet because releasing such a document in the late 1990s could have thrown the monarchy into an even deeper crisis. At a time when the royal family was already under intense public pressure following Diana's death, revealing allegations of internal conflict could have created consequences far beyond the family itself. Instead, the story suggests Anne chose another path. Rather than speaking publicly, she quietly focused on being present for Prince William and Prince Harry whenever possible. According to the account, she adjusted parts of her schedule over the following years so she could spend more time with the young princes away from the spotlight. There were no cameras, no headlines, and no official announcements. If these reports are accurate, Anne fulfilled the very role Diana had hoped she would, offering stability during an incredibly difficult period. Years passed, and the letter remained hidden. Then, according to the story, events took another unexpected turn in 2026. As preparations were reportedly underway to review historical royal documents, palace officials allegedly requested access to private correspondence held at Gatcombe Park. Anne is said to have declined, maintaining that her personal papers were separate from official royal records. Without clear legal authority to demand access, the request reportedly went no further. Around the same time, Charles Spencer had already been examining the document discovered at Althorp House. After its authenticity was reportedly verified, he believed the public deserved to know about its existence. Before any announcement was made, the story claims Charles Spencer traveled to meet Princess Anne privately. The two allegedly compared the version found at Althorp with Anne's own preserved copy. According to the account, every detail matched, strengthening their confidence that both documents were genuine copies of the same letter. With that comparison complete, they reportedly agreed it was finally time for the public to see it. News of the letter spread rapidly. According to the story, media organizations rushed to report the discovery, while journalists gathered outside Buckingham Palace searching for answers. Inside the palace, reports claim officials were caught off guard. Communications teams reportedly paused scheduled media plans as public attention shifted almost entirely to Diana's handwritten words. One of the biggest impacts wasn't just the letter itself, it was how people suddenly viewed Princess Anne. For years, she had often been described as reserved and emotionally distant. But this story presented a completely different picture, a woman who quietly carried a deeply personal responsibility without asking for recognition. Public reaction reportedly shifted almost overnight, with many praising Anne for protecting the princes while never seeking credit for doing so. At the same time, the story renewed discussions about how history has remembered Princess Diana's final years. Whether every claim in the letter can be verified or not, many people saw it as another reminder of the challenges Diana believed she was facing during that period. As public interest continued to grow, attention turned toward Prince William. According to the account, palace advisors hoped to release a carefully worded family statement that would acknowledge the letter while encouraging the public to view it as part of a difficult chapter that had long since passed. However, the story claims William was unwilling to support any statement that appeared to downplay his mother's own words. Instead, he reportedly respected both the letter itself and Princess Anne's decades of silence, believing they formed an important part of his family's history. Whether those conversations happened exactly as described remains unconfirmed, but the reported account paints a picture of a family still shaped by events that began nearly 30 years ago. As more people discussed the letter, one question remained above all others. Did this single document truly rewrite one of the most misunderstood relationships in modern royal history? Or is it simply another chapter in a story that continues to spark debate around the world? We'll explore the final developments and what this story ultimately means in the last part. As the story continued to dominate headlines, attention shifted beyond the letter itself and toward what it could mean for the royal family's history. According to the account, palace officials found themselves under intense pressure as journalists from around the world sought answers. Questions reportedly poured in about the letter, the claims it contained, and whether any further documents might eventually surface. One claim attracted particular attention. The story suggested that Diana had mentioned a separate collection of personal letters and diary entries stored outside the royal archives. Although no such collection has ever been publicly confirmed, the possibility alone fueled widespread speculation and kept the public conversation alive. Meanwhile, many people began looking at Princess Anne through a different lens. For years, she had been portrayed as reserved, practical, and emotionally distant. But if the story is accurate, the letter paints a very different picture, one of a woman Diana deeply trusted during one of the most difficult periods of her life. Supporters of that view believe Anne honored Diana's wishes not through public speeches or interviews, but through quiet actions that never sought recognition. Whether every detail in the story is true remains a subject of debate. Some claims have not been independently verified, while others continue to be discussed by royal commentators and historians. What cannot be denied is the impact the story has had on public discussion. It has encouraged many people to reconsider the relationship between Princess Diana and Princess Anne, raising questions about whether history overlooked a bond that existed behind closed doors. It has also reminded people how a single handwritten letter, whether viewed as historical evidence, personal testimony, or simply one perspective, can reshape the way events are remembered. More than 2 decades after Diana's passing, interest in her life remains as strong as ever. New stories continue to emerge, old questions continue to resurface, and people around the world remain fascinated by the lasting legacy she left behind. Whether this reported letter changes history, or simply adds another layer to an already complex story, is something each person must decide for themselves. One thing is certain: conversations about Princess Diana, Princess Anne, and the royal family are unlikely to end anytime soon. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your friends and fellow royal watchers. Your support helps us continue bringing you fascinating stories, historical discussions, and the latest royal updates. What do you think about this story? Does this reported letter change your view of Princess Diana and Princess Anne's relationship, or do you think there's still more to uncover? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your friends and fellow royal watchers.